Hello and welcome to San Francisco Indie Fest. My name is Ian Bignell and I am from Festival Formula, a consultancy company that helps filmmakers navigate the often complicated world of film festival strategy. We are joined here by the Morok. I've pronounced it wrong already. Daria, can you tell me how to pronounce it properly? Because I'm no good at this.
Morok.
There we go. That's
Morok.
Perfect. I won't say it ever again because I'll just say it wrong again. And we are joined by them of everybody from the team. So I'm just going to get you guys to introduce yourselves to everybody so everyone's familiar with who you are and what relationship you have to the film. So starting with you, Daria.
Hello, my name is Daria Nazarova. I am writer, director, and producer of this movie.
It's like a reverse triple threat. And Vinette?
Hi, my name is Vineet. I'm the editor of this movie.
Perfect.
And color corrector.
And color corrector, yes.
Perfect.
The post guy.
The post guy. The bit that stitches everything together. It's quite
exactly.
And then we've got Marissa, who I think you might be in the film or something. I don't know.
Might be. I don't know.
Yeah. Can't remember. But you're the main lead of the film, and having a harrowing experience all the way through it. This is a brilliant film. I really enjoyed it. So well done, one and all, for a really well handled film. It obviously explores grief, the grief of loss and losing a child, and it disappears off into a world that gets a little bit weird towards the end in terms of like I wasn't expecting the ending that was presented, so you caught me out. But we'll start to work our way through the film and different areas of it. I thought we'll just start with you, Daria, as you're the writer, about the name of the film and what that actually means.
Well, Morok is actually an old Russian word, which means something what clouds the judgment. So basically, as the main character get obsessed with desire to change her past and have the baby, so she doesn't really see clearly the picture. That's why this name, and it was much better than the word obsession because there are too many movies with this name. So I found that this one will be much more interesting.
Yeah, definitely. We are joined also by Timothy, who's also in the film with a wonderful beard like mine. Welcome as well. We've just got started. We are recording right now, so we are in the midst of doing the Q&A, but I'm glad you could make it as well.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. So first of all, I wanted to talk about the film. It's basically it's a study of grief on so many levels. But I also was noticing the fact that, especially with your character, Marissa, it also explores happiness, and it's obviously masking of grief through here because you've had such an emotional thing happen to you that you actually, as a character, as you're going through this film, it's not just about direct grief. You're going through other things as well because you have to keep yourself going and grabbing onto something. What was that like to be playing such a crazy role where you went through literally every emotion I think you could possibly go through?
Oh, I mean, this, I thanked Daria so much because this was a dream role just to like have such a breadth of emotion to explore through the character. But you're right, it's not just about grief. There were the thing about grief is you don't really, as an audience, you can't really experience the full feeling of grief unless you understand what you've lost. So, the pregnancy, where I'm super pregnant scenes and we're, talking about ice cream and sausages and like that's, and who's going to change the diapers. We need those happy moments because we need to see how far we've plummeted down into that land of grief. So, those, you really start to feel for these characters because they had such hope for what life was going to look like. And now, it looks absolutely nothing like that. and she, you know, Claire's hanging on by a string, mentally, physically, emotionally, all of it. And, you know, she's hanging on to the family that she wanted, the life that she wanted, and she won't let it go
Yeah.
at all costs.
Yeah, and I also like the fact as well, and this is another creative decision that Dario has put into this film as well, is the fact that you have a clock in the corner to represent her waking up every single day. It's a routine. She's almost hitting the reset button every single day. Trying whatever happened yesterday was yesterday. That can be behind me now. I am going to focus on today. I'm going to do my normal thing. I'm going to have my coffee. I'm going to dress up nice. I'm going to try and make myself feel good. And it's that daily grind that is clearly grinding herself down, living in this kind of fake world, and it's kind of self-defeating almost. And the fact that you have the point as well in the evening where the character of Eric is coming home, and Eric is a very cold character. You know, you're not getting that warmth. And certainly she's not getting what she needs from him. It's kind of like one of those really weird things where you're watching it, you're like, oh no, it's the clock again. It's the same thing. It's reliving this kind of like Groundhog Day. Is that the sort of intention of the writing and how you felt when you're going through the acting these roles?
So interestingly enough, the clock has even a deeper meaning, because, you know, the whole plot in its current timeline, like in the now, where she wakes up, she's getting ready, she has phone calls with her mom, and then, you know, gets all dolled up, and then to the last scene, that's all in the now, right? So that timeline actually is only an hour and 20 minutes long. So literally the whole time that people are watching the movie in real time, like, sure, there's flashbacks and memories and things that come up, but from the time she wakes up to the time she goes back to sleep in the morning, and then wakes up again, literally, and that's an hour and 20 minutes later. So it's even deeper meaning than
it's
just
even harsher than I originally thought. I think that the other thing I really liked, and this is a writing decision from Daria, is the fact that the office stroke nursery is hidden in plain sight all the time. You see it with baby monitor in hand as a nursery, and then you'll flick past it and the desk is inside there. So you know, as an audience, there's something not quite right. Do you want to sort of talk about the setup that you're trying to create of this world, Dario, in that kind of like magical realism element?
Well, this is why, like, I specifically, when we were shooting it, so whenever she would enter the office, it will be shot from inside. Whenever she enters the baby room, it will be shot from outside. So I even tried, like, I tried to make it the way so audience would think, maybe we just didn't spend enough money to get like 3-bedroom apartment or something. You know, so she's kind of like entering the same room and they're like 2 different rooms. So audience might think they were too cheap in the beginning. And also there are like a lot, there are several like small stuff. Like, for example, when she makes coffee and she comes with the baby radio, in one shot there would be like a charger for baby radio, in another one there wouldn't be. And like whenever like she picks it up, in one shot there is a radio, in another one there is no. So I try to play with those stuff. It's not really noticeable unless you watch it like several times in a row, but still I feel good that it's there.
Yeah, I think it adds to, it's just a layer. There's many layers to the film. And I think that the fact there is that magical realism, this invented world that is being created, I think it adds that extra layer to everything. And then, of course,
Sorry, or better, you can see it in the scene when she picks up a bottle with milk. So like when she enters, there is no bottle, she's looking for it, and then suddenly it's there. So yeah, I try to like, so her imagination Claire's imagination works in the moment. As
Mhm.
soon as she remembers about it, like she has it over there.
So the other character, as well as obviously Eric, yourself, Timothy, and your character is quite is a professional character, quite a cold character, and I think what's interesting is you clearly want to help help your wife, but in the same time you don't want to be directly involved with it. It's quite like an interesting development that your character has, where it's kind of like indirect help. You're helping, and the fact that you started to help was enough. You know what I mean?
Right. I did my part. Like, let's
Mm.
leave it to the professionals. Let's throw some money at it, and you know, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Sorry, was there a question in there? I was just jumping on.
It's not necessarily a question. It's more a statement in terms of your
Yeah.
characterization. Obviously, that your character is quite a cold character. And do you think, to ask you a direct question this time, do you think that your character was necessarily actually helping, or do you think that you just were making things worse?
Yeah, I think Eric was doing his, well, what he thought he was doing his part. You know, it's like that he was phoning it in, showing up enough to say, look, I'm doing what I can without breaking that wall of accepting that his wife is going through this. You know, because the minute you accept it, that means it's real. You know, and it was denial in there. But you know, I'm going to do the bare minimum and or what I'm supposed to do and get you some help and of course I'm there for you, but I'm not really, you know, I mean, emotionally. And I think it's a really interesting contrast between the flashbacks of going through the pregnancy and the happy times, you know, which was a really fun scene to shoot. And I think it was because it was really cute. I had just had, we actually just had kids of our own. Marissa had her little baby boy, and I had a little baby boy. And, you know, it was our first. So that was new and exciting.
Very close to home.
Yeah, extremely close to home. Especially, you know, I think we were still in, our babies were still in cribs. So when we did the crib scene, that was a very, you know, you could really have a lot of space and emotion to dive into. But also we were shooting a lot of the really darker scenes, and the depression and before it was kind of a mix of things, but before doing the happy scenes. So it was such a lift, you know, and she's so amazing to work with, so easy to work with. It was great. And I think it really helped both of us having the kiddos at the moment. I think they're about the same age, right, Marissa? Yeah. And so we kind of went to our own place that was, you know, connected there for that. But yeah, Eric just showed up and he was more concentrated on his professional life, on his, you know, I think even with a slight ideal of you know, a wife is supposed to be the grounds of the family and take care of everything, and I'm going to make the money, kind of a little bit of that in there. You know, I have to go to work, I have to make the money, I have to, you know, do your part, be stable. Why are you going through this? I don't accept this, you know.
Yeah.
I actually found it really interesting, that scene you had where you're arguing about the diaper changes and you're like, I don't want to be doing that. And I thought that was actually one of the most interesting dynamics, because you can still see some of that kind of coldness there in terms of like, I don't want to get involved with that world. Sure. I want the baby, but I don't want to have the dirty work. And I thought that was like a really interesting blend, because it's kind of like an echo in the future, in the past, that came true and amplified.
Yeah, for sure. You know, truth in the joke and whatnot. And I mean, through and through, he's still an a-hole. He's just, he really comes through when she needs him, you know?
Yeah.
But also, you know, people grieve in different ways too. So, you know, some people cope with loss by, you know, just
ignoring it.
Yeah, ignoring it and going sort of escaping into some other reality. You know, that's what I did. And he kind of went nose to the grind, you know, work. I'm going to stay busy, any excuse to not be home. you know, just throw money at it, kind of, this isn't happening, you know, kind of a thing. So, you know, everybody, I think that that's my favorite, absolute favorite part about acting, is that we get a psychological view into, you know, the human condition and how different actors, you know, bring what they have to these characters that are human beings in the flesh. They become human beings in the flesh, and they all have these different ways of coping and dealing with stuff. And you know, sometimes whatever happens makes this person go this way and the other person go this way, and then it's like, will they ever find each other again? And I think, you know, that's one of the main questions of the film is are they going to get over this?
Yeah, it's almost like everything from almost like trusting each other, everything breaks down off this one moment. And I think in your character, Marissa, you're trying to find that spark that you once had, and it's just like it's so forced now. And also when you get rejected, it's almost like, oh, it's because I lost the baby, it's my fault.
Yeah,
and it's that kind of blame game.
Yeah,
it's quite hard to watch. And of course, there's the character of Monica as well, who's like the psychiatrist that's coming in to try and makes this sort of bizarre, like anti-love triangle almost, or between three characters in terms of like, is there to help in a professional capacity, but obviously from your perspective, Marissa, it's something else you can possibly blame as for the things that are going wrong, to the point that weirdly as well, and I found it interesting, you even saw like not love but lust almost in that character, because you were starved of it yourself. So so many different things happen with the introduction of Monica, and I think that you three as characters on screen were quite incredible to watch, because you can tell that you really enjoyed each other's company and trusted each other really well. So I thought it was like a really good, interesting dynamic. Again, I mean, with Monica's character, did you feel this was the sort of character that kind of broke your character down, Marissa?
Like, what do you mean? Did she?
What I mean is it the one that tipped her over the edge? Because obviously you kind of imagine her in the kitchen lusting after Eric and everything else. Do you think that was building up and it was the thing that actually tipped her over the edge in the end?
I think it was an excuse. I think it was an excuse for her to, because she still just couldn't forgive herself. So she had to direct that energy somewhere. Mm-hmm. And when she put it on herself, she created a, you know, an alternate reality for herself. And, you know, when Eric shakes her and she drops to her knees and, you know, so that wail comes out of her, like that's it. Like her reality has been, you know, totally shattered.
Yeah.
And she has nowhere else to go. Like there's nowhere to go. She has to go somewhere. She has to do something. She has to put that blame or that guilt or something into something else. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, Monica becomes the ultimate scapegoat, to really kind of house the reason why things are going bad. It's not because it can't be the baby anymore. It can't.
Right.
So the other thing as well, obviously your performance stands out, Marissa, because you literally exuded so much energy all the way through your performance by having to throw everything that you had in you out there. Was it literally like the crew having to go around you and give you like an emotional support hug afterwards, because it must have been quite a traumatic experience going through this?
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, Daria was amazing of like, all right, everybody, you know, cool it down, like, you know, let me get in my headspace. And I, you know, we had sort of an agreement that I was like, okay, I need like 2 minutes or 5 minutes, whatever it was, just before we, you know, say action to like get in the headspace. I think the most challenging scene was actually our last day, which is the climax of the film. ironically was one of our audition scenes, was, you know, me building the crib and then him catching me, and then that whole, you know, the reality of that fantasy just crashes down. That was a 12-hour day. That one scene was like 5-6 pages, whatever it was. And it just, you know, it was reliving that drop to the knees, drop to the knees, drop to the knees for his coverage, then drop to the knees, drop to the knees, drop to the knees for my coverage, then drop to the knees, drop to the knees for her coverage. And it was just, and then it was like break for lunch. Okay, you know, eat, and then the spike in sugar, and then down, and then, okay, drop to the knees, drop to the, you know, it was just like constant. That was one of probably the hardest days for, you know, for me mentally, emotionally on set to keep living it. But I actually, after we wrapped, I don't know if I told you this, Daria, but I thought, oh, okay, you know, tomorrow we wrap, I'm gonna go get a massage and like massage this character out and like just like say goodbye to Claire. And I went and got a Thai massage, and it didn't really do anything at all. She was still with me. I actually had to go to a like an energy healer to do some magic on me and literally extract her from my person, because she was with me. And because I honestly, I felt so bad for her that I like took her under my wing, and she became part of me. It was very strange. I've never had that happen before.
Like having like a semi-permanent tattoo or something.
Yeah. No, for real.
The Morok.
Yeah. I have to also ask about the house. The house really is an interesting house, because you've got the split level and you can basically get everything in shots. Whose house is it? What is it? Is it someone you know? It's actually your house.
Yeah, it's actually my house. It's just like we changed, like we painted some walls so, like, to make it more colorful, and afterwards, I mean.
No,
and,
can I say that it was awesome shooting in one location and kind of at a house, at a home, because whenever we came to set and whenever we did any sort of work there, it was like that was our home. We created our own home with that, and it really created the atmosphere. The baby's room was where it was. Everything was, you know, in our heads. It was easy to kind of keep getting that world. And when Monica came in, we had this whole team going through all of this crazy stuff. You know, I use that word loosely, but this stuff that we were doing. And then it was almost like a stranger Monica coming in and into that world where both, you know, Claire and Eric were just starving for something to, you know, grab onto. I wanted to piggyback on what you were talking about with Monica. And it would just made it like, kudos to Daria, the way that she set everything up, you know, and just to kind of grasp onto that hope that Monica was giving us, where Eric, and then the jealousy with, you know, everything. And it was awesome. And I remember the scene, obviously, with the baby. Anytime I would enter the baby's room, I would sort of hold my breath before we called action, before Daria called action. And there was a weird, I don't know, it was just an awesome area, an awesome environment to be able to create so much. The minute I would step in through that door, I'm standing there with Monica and we're staring at Claire. And the minute I would step through that door, I would get goosebumps and chills. And I was like, oh, this is, yeah, it's on. Let's dive into this. And so thanks, Daria, for, you know, setting up an awesome, supportive environment to be able to just be free and allow to create, you know, and
of course, I tried my best. I even didn't use my own bed. So during 3 weeks, I had to sleep on an air mattress in the living room. So like every evening I would put it up, and every morning at 4 a.m. I would take it away.
Oh, man.
And every day I had to remind the crew that this is the space for my mattress, or I will have nowhere to sleep.
No idea. No idea.
It was really awesome that it is all self-enclosed. I love the fact that with the split level, like basically it meant that you're so free to shoot everything that you wanted to. You can get any. It reminded me a little bit of Parasite actually, in terms of the way they set up their house. It's so like almost open plan that you can get every like nook and cranny. There's nowhere to hide. Everything's out on display. That it kind of. I was thinking how lucky you were to have a house like that, but literally you are lucky to have a house like that. It's your house. Vinny, what was it like? Obviously, you're working from a post point of view. What was it like working on this production and stitching the magic together at the end of it and making this film come to life and be as vibrant as it is?
Well, it was a lot of fun, or not.
Not fun.
Yeah.
There were certain scenes that I remember. I was editing it, and I told Daria. I told her, I was like, I cannot edit anymore today. I need a break. It's too emotional.
He told me, I thought he is literally just saying that he cannot edit it anymore at all. Not like it. And then he said, like, I need a break for next, like, what, couple of days?
Yeah. I was like, I need a break. That's a heavy scene. I cannot handle it. I need a break. No, but
What are you talking about? Vinny?
or the fight, all everything. We took a break every 2 days. No, the fight sequence. I don't want to break into the story too much, but the bedroom, the bedroom night fight sequence. I was like, okay, I'm done, because it's funny. All of you are putting Eric at a point, and I actually felt bad for Eric.
Yeah.
For the most of while editing, I was like, this guy. I just there were points I was like looking for good scenes for him, like, okay, let us show him in a good light, and Dasha was like, nope.
No, he was already too likable, kind of, especially from male perspective. Because he really he's there for her, he loves her, he does everything, but at the same time, as you said, like, he is distant, like he doesn't want to go all the way, so he was already very likable, and I needed him to be kind of a bad guy in this story. And Vinit liked him a lot.
No, so
really, everybody liked him a lot. My sister and her husband, like, Eric is their favorite character in the movie. And they quote his jokes sometimes.
I think I wanted to not like the character of Eric myself, but I found there was, and I can't even really put my finger on it. There was just something it was something almost innocent about Eric that I kind of found quite endearing after a while. And I can't really put my finger on it because, bluntly, he's a bit of an asshole all the way through it. So you shouldn't really be feeling like it. But I think the ending is, as we just touched on, comes kind of surprisingly out of nowhere. Well, not out of nowhere, it's been building, but it kind of like, the way it finishes is quite a brutal way to finish a film. and then watching Claire as a character wake up, reset like it's a normal morning, and go out for go to the park with the family. It's a crazy ending, but I really appreciated it because it was really like the exclamation point at the end. But it also reaffirms the point of the fourth character, which is your mum in it, which should be making these phone calls, having these arguments, and then showing that little couple of seconds at the end of like, it's a voicemail that's not been listened to and answered. It just shows you really how vulnerable your character was the whole way through, and really no one was. No one could help you, but maybe that was the point. No one could help you.
Oof. Yeah.
Yeah.
The funny thing about that last scene, well, it was like a complicated shot. So
wasn't funny at all. No.
I mean, when we were shooting it, the funny thing was that Eric, Timothy, when we were shooting it, even though like when he tried like to hold his eyes and not to close them, like his vein on his neck was like pumping, so he obviously wasn't dead. It was destroying the shot.
Oh man.
Honestly, I think, isn't it surely as an actor, isn't it like the hardest thing to play dead, especially for like something where you have to just like, you're not doing anything. This is not what you're trained to do as actors. Why they're doing it.
Right. Well, you know, the interesting thing is that I like to think that like I'm really good at like holding my breath and keeping my eyes open for a really long time until it gets to the point that where we need to film it. Then we need to film it. For some reason, my eyes want to close, you know, they get, you know, teary and it just doesn't.
And you get that, and you're all set, and all of a sudden you're like, I didn't have an itch there a second ago.
Right.
Why is that?
Yeah,
right. Exactly. Or somebody will say something in the background. You're like, I'm trying to be dead. Yeah, it was fun. I spent a lot of time in that bed. I've actually I actually fell asleep during one of, because I was supposed to be sleeping. I was in character, but I fell asleep for a minute, and I'm pretty sure there was a little bit of a snore in there, a slight, you know, or I woke up and I was working hard.
Plus, it was very warm because we couldn't use AC obviously while we were shooting, so it was really warm and cozy.
Yeah. Her bed's very comfortable.
Yeah, it's like proper method acting to actually get into the zone and actually fall asleep, you know.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Marissa is poor girl is crying her eyes out, going through this emotional roller coaster, and I'm half naked sneezing. I came home, my wife's like, how was it today? I was like, it was great. I slept most of the day, no problem. She's like,
I think we had a full day. One day was a full day when Eric was in the bed sleeping, and Marisa would do stuff around him, like walking, dressing up, and then checking his phone.
Yeah.
I think I had a full day finding the shot for him to be dead.
Did you really? Yeah. I'm telling you.
Like which one? Not sure that.
And Timothy, you were saying that basically you had like a going home and saying you had a nice day. Marissa, on the other hand, going home and like being asked, "How was your day?" And you're like, "I'm just going to walk into the sea if you don't mind, if that's okay." Just be away from
Right.
I mean, I'm going to say the word favorite here. I mean, obviously it's a bit in the tone of the film, maybe not the right word, but what's your favorite moment, each of you, from the film?
Silence.
Happy or sad?
I mean, to start the ball rolling, I think the crib, you making the crib and having, you know, Eric and the psychiatrist coming along, and there's that kind of like Eric going, like being pushed, going, you've got to deal with this by the psychiatrist, by Monica, whilst you're kind of like trying to make this crib, and it's completely normal. It kind of is for me the height of conflict in the film, and it's kind of like it's downhill from here. It was kind of like a big scene for me.
Yeah, I piggyback on that. The moment where he catches me was always it was like her wheels are turning, and then they stop. And it was, how old is he? What is his name? And I had nothing. Like I had nothing because I had made up all of this reality except for that, which is like, what? That's the main stuff. But I had missed it. And he gets me. He caught me, and I lost it, I didn't have a comeback to that. So my reality came crashing down in one fell swoop. And that was that moment, and the turning around from the front door and like falling to the ground of like, I'm back home, but I don't have my baby.
Yeah, I actually was flicking through the film earlier on today because I watched it in full a couple of weeks ago, and the first scene I flicked to randomly was you doing that. I was like, oh man, of all the scenes to pick out, it wasn't like a happy one. It was literally like one of the ones where you're at the point where you're literally losing your mind. Did you have a scene that you really gravitated to, Timothy? In the film?
The scene where I blow up and I'm just finally had enough, and I get to kind of you know, regurgitate my rage. That was, as an actor, it was an awesome scene to shoot. It was extremely challenging because we did it a lot of times, you know, and it was just, but everybody in the crew was so supportive, and they left you alone when you needed to, but also every now and again, somebody, like when we were finally done with it, they would, you know, one or two people come up and just like, damn, man, like good, that was, and it was nice. That's nice to hear some of that, but that was the best to shoot, or one of my favorites to shoot. That, and then of course the entering the baby's room, and just those chills, that was nice to feel as well, you know, because when you're on set and doing all of this stuff and everybody's different, but you know, you've got a million things going on in your real life, and then you have to transition to this environment, and sometimes you just need a little bit of boost, saying like, you know, like this is going well, like this is, you're in that zone. And every time I would step in and work with Marissa, it was just like we were in that zone, and it was easy and it was fun. You know, it wasn't there, we weren't thinking about anything else. I wasn't thinking about anything else but being there with her. And like she mentioned, that scene, and then the scene where I explode, those were, you know, when we first met, our audition scenes that we got to kind of, that's where we started the relationship, and we knew that, man, this is going to be a fun, crazy ride. But it was, I just felt like a really great connection with her. You know, it was a really nice to work with her.
Yeah. And any other, Vinny and Daria, do you have any scenes that stand out for you that were the ones when you look back at the film, you go, that's the scene?
Every scene. But like, we already spoke about tough scenes, but what I really like, I like how me and Vinny played with this fantasy with like sexual relations with psychiatrists, and how we played it out with reality. This is a really nice moment, like when like, what, like I asked you a question, what did you say? Oh, what? So I like this because it's like, it clearly shows that it's a fantasy, but at the same time it's kind of funny, even though it's very sad. But like, I try to put there as much humor as I can.
This is actually a comedy. You know, the first thing Daria said to me, she was like, "Listen, I know it's serious stuff, but it's a comedy." I said, "Thanks for having me."
It's the darkest of dark comedies.
Yeah. If you don't see the humor in this, then I don't think you get where she was trying to go.
Oh man, did you ever see that you particularly liked, Vinny, or was it just basically you just hated editing all of it?
Well, the funny thing was, I was not supposed to be the editor. So.
Wow.
That's funny. No, that previous version was actually the funny movie. No, just kidding. I enjoyed a lot of scenes, but in particular, I liked when Timothy's character Eric was talking about how he doesn't want to change the diapers and stuff, and I think that was, and also the back and forth that was happening with reality and with the past and stuff. You know, how it was blending in through. I think those were in every now and then you try to find a connection with reality, and you try to bring that scene back into, say, even when she's using the curling iron and stuff, and how she burns herself. So even like those small moments, I would not say a scene in particular, but say those moments are the thing that were like, oh yeah, we can connect it through that. And I think me and Dasha went back and forth a lot with those. You're like, let's juggle this scene around here. Let's put this here. Let's try to play. And it's my bad. Not only on, I made her shoot time lapse after time lapse. I made her shoot some clock scenes every now and then. Well, the clocks, we did use the clocks.
So, yeah.
But initially when I saw the first cut, though I read the script, the first cut, I was like, this is all going, I never thought about the flashbacks as such.
Even though it was written in the script.
No. but yeah, that's how well edited it was. I got confused. I was like, maybe I didn't read it right. Maybe it's some, maybe like Morok, there is something else to it, means something else. No, so so for the initial run, I was like, you know what, you need some of these shots. You need something like a time lapse and stuff. And she, poor thing, and I'm sorry, but she did those, and like, we don't need it. so
tricks of the trade right here.
Exactly.
Just we got another couple of questions to go, and I just wanted to ask, was a 2020 production, was your film affected at all by the pandemic and the world of COVID-19, or did you manage to avoid that?
In fact, now we finished right in February.
Oh, amazing. Like literally like inches to go.
Like there.
Wow. I mean, imagine having to shoot that with all the health and safety precautions that you have to put in place now when doing film. It would have added so much more time to getting everything in the can. Crazy.
And I guess much more money.
Exactly. And what is next for the film? It's and again, where's it been on the circuit so far? Have you had any successes on the circuit? Anything exciting so far?
The San Francisco Indie Fest is coming up.
It's like that's literally the best one.
Yeah.
No?
Good,
Oh,
Daria.
If you want to talk about your accomplishments.
Me?
Yeah.
The film has done really well so far. The cast has been nominated a bunch.
Marisa got 2 Best Actress awards.
I got 2 Best Actress awards in Lady Filmmakers and Studio City Film Festival.
oh, well done.
Yeah, thank you.
And also Lady Filmmaker Film Festival gave us Best of Festival.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So I mean, and that's actually like the proof that you've had a good time on set, you put something quite harrowing together, but when you get the rewards at the end of it, it's so worth it. And I think you have told a really important story. This is a story on mental health. This is something that's prevalent in different ways to everybody at the moment. I mean, I'm in a lockdown at the moment and my mental health is up and down, and this is a different story, but it's an important story to still be talking about. These things do actually happen to people, and literally, Marisa, you lived it. And Eric and Timothy, or Eric, you watched it. But I was really impressed with your film, and it doesn't surprise me that you've got all the plaudits that you have along the way. We have run out of time. I could have kept talking for longer, but I have to draw it to a close. Thank you so much, all of you, for being on this call. It's been really fun for a film that's not so fun, but it's a good film, and be sure to make sure to tell everyone about it and watch it here at the festival. So thank you, one and all.
Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it. Very excited.